what we thought we would do is there was a bit of an excitement bubble on Friday where government announced a couple of changes. And so what I thought I would do is I would do like an impromptu video just to cover those off to make sure that everybody was aware of what those changes are and what they meant, but also to give everybody a bit of an idea about some of the questions that we've been getting through as well and what those answers to those questions would be, mainly to get some of that info out there so you can have the answers for yourself and get a bit of an understanding. So look, I guess where we are, it was in the news today, we've got 17 days without any fresh new cases, and the last national case has recovered. So it seems like we've managed to do a pretty good job and wipe everything out, wipe all the COVID out of the country. So a massive positive. Oh, what's that? Whoa! Newsflash. Thank you, Rick. We are going to level 1 from, was it 12:59 p.m.? Was midnight tonight? Midnight tonight. We're going to level 1. I don't know what the instances and what the implications of that mean. But look, that's some exciting news. So, look, I'm going to get back to the agenda as what I had put together. Thanks, Rick, for giving me a bit of a buzz there. So obviously that was probably announced in the last little while. So last few minutes. So yeah, hence why it hasn't made the agenda for today. But hey, look, for the most part, most of our clients we're finding have gone back to a relative normal in terms of how they operate their business, how their customers are inquiring, and how they're actually providing goods or services. So I think that's a massive positive. I guess a tribute to the type of businesses that we're looking after and assisting. That they're pretty innovative. So first of all, congratulations to you guys. But we are still finding that they're getting a lot of pressure from those that are still required to work from home in terms of wanting more information about the goods and services that they're providing, but also just being a little more interested in some of the detail on certain things, which you can kind of understand. And look, we're seeing it as well. We're getting a lot of clients who are still not able to head back to work, albeit a very small number of them, having a lot more interactions with us than they normally would. So, but hey, look, it's still quite a significant portion of the Wellington population that isn't returning to work. I mean, the estimates on the numbers are that there's still 30,000 less people coming into the CBD every day from normal. And it also seems, and this is unofficial, and don't quote me, but it seems like government departments have been instructed to keep 50% of the team home until Christmas. So while it's got fantastic news for the likes of us who travel into town every day, it's actually got quite a significant impact on retail and the hospitality industry, who are depending on those 30,000 people to buy lunch every day, or coffees, those sorts of things. So yeah, interesting times. I think some of the corporates are looking at returning, or some of the bigger organisations that aren't governments or NGOs. I think they're looking at maybe coming back in July, depending on what the health situation is and how we're looking at it. But hey, looking at those numbers and going to level 1 as of tonight, I think that some of those teams will be coming back into the city pretty quickly. So it'll be interesting to see what the traffic's like tomorrow and probably for the rest of the week. A couple of other bits and pieces. Look, in terms of inland revenue, they're still really struggling with the reduction in their workforce and their capabilities of working from home. Their phone lines are still effectively down and out of action, and any general inquiry at the moment can really only be resolved through using the messaging system through the My IR system. So that's the government, the IRD system where you log in and you can see your tax periods, your GST, your POE, all that kind of stuff. There is a messaging system through there, which if you put money into the wrong tax type or the wrong GST period, that you can email them and they can move it around. We can't do it at the moment. Normally we'd ring up, but that option is unavailable. So we are basically writing messages out, which is really easy for inland revenue to process, because they just create a big line of these requests, where for us it's actually quite time consuming is what I was trying to get out. We can still do it, but you just need to realise that it could take 3 to 4 weeks for us to actually get that done for you. So being 2 weeks for ID to process or a week for ID to process it, but for us probably about a week and a half to allocate it out to an accountant, go and see what the issue is, and then specify the exact transfer that needs to happen. And that's really where the time delay comes from, because we've still got to do all of our other bits and pieces, whereas normally we're just communicated over the phone in real time. So yeah, in the meantime, ID, while you're waiting those 3 to 4 weeks, ID will still be sending you letters. So we are still getting through a bunch of letters that ID have sent out. They had seemed like a pause that they put on over COVID lockdown levels, level 4, started to roll out some correspondence in level 3, and now it just seems to be coming out because the computer can just generate these letters without any people. So anyway, let's get on to the excitement bubble that was Friday. But basically, the 3 main topics that we're going to talk about are basically the ID loan scheme, although they don't like being called the ID loan scheme, but that's what it's been called. There was also a discussion about what small business owners with commercial leases can do. So that was the second one. And the third one wasn't really talked about on Friday, but I'm going to cover it off anyway and hit it again. It's really the 8-week subsidy. So we'll run through those things and then a couple of other bits and pieces. So on Friday, government announced that the IRD loan scheme, which was supposed to come to an end this week, is going to be extended out until the 24th of July. So basically adding another 6 weeks onto the deadline, which is good. Couple of criteria. You need to have applied for the 12-week subsidy, which also expires at the end of the month. There's a bunch of other conditions as part of it. It's interest-free for the first 12 months, no repayments for 24, total loan length is 5 years. So all that stuff is, you would have seen some material and gotten some understanding about. You've got, it's $10,000 plus $1,800 per worker. That's how you work it out. Maximum 50 employees, maximum loan of 100K. There are some technical stuff that they've come across in the last couple of weeks with people applying for them, but I'm going to make a link to that if you want to know, but most of our clients won't be affected by it. It's mainly for bigger groups and corporates and like that who got subsidiaries, so not a big deal. So far as at today, $1.2 billion has been loaned out through the scheme. So quite a huge amount in terms of funds flowing out, and I would say, look, that was in the first 4 weeks, so we might get to the $2 billion mark. Probably not. We might only be another 300 or 400 million in it. So really quite interesting from that perspective. But also the average loan size is only 17,000. So it's really being targeted at those small guys, small businesses with 3, 4 employees. Around that size, and those are the guys that are really making use of it, and it's really giving them confidence to be able to trade going forward if they don't think they're going to qualify for the subsidy. And look, we've seen a number of our clients who have applied for it, and look, they're using it in some really smart ways to help them become more profitable and more susceptible should there be another little bit of a dip in terms of it, in terms of the economy and what their business is likely to do. And ID is generally paying up those funds within 1 to 2 days of the application, so really speedy, which is awesome. So look, the last thing you want to do is have a prolonged process for accessing the funds and then having to wait a week or two for the money to come out. So certainly better than hitting the old BNZ up for your overdrafts. Not that I've got anything against the BNZ anyway, but anyway, moving on to the commercial leases. Now, look, a lot of people have been screaming out, hey, look, in the sense that, the commercial leaser side of things was a massive issue for level 4 lockdown and elements of level 3. But I think the government really didn't have a clear way of moving forward. And so what they've done is, I don't really know how to describe it, but it's pretty poor. In my mind, it doesn't really help at all. But basically what the government has said is, we want to support small businesses and commercial lease people, or commercial landlords is probably a better way of putting it. And they've said that landlords and tenants must come to an agreement over the fair rent of what the rent should be during level 3, 4, and possibly even now if they're not able to get access to it for some reason. So what is fair rent? Well, I mean, look, if you've got stock, it's obviously going to be more of a significance to you than if you've just got some, if you're a bar and you've just got a couple of stools and tables there. So who knows really what fair rent means. Look, we're seeing most of the landlords going for a 50% reduction in rent for the time that they weren't that tenants weren't able to access the property, which I think is probably pretty fair, 50-50. But what the government has done is for those that are struggling to come up with agreement, the landlord and the tenant won't agree, what they've done is they've said, look, if you want to go to arbitration, we will throw $6,000 to help you with your arbitration process. So that's how the government's decided that they're going to assist disagreements, which looks probably really the only practical way that they can do it. But yeah, so what they've done is they've set a budget of about $40 million aside to be able to help commercial landlords and commercial tenants come to agreement as to what the fair rent should be. So yeah, look, we're seeing probably 90% of our clients and our commercial landlords coming to some form of agreement, roughly around the 50%. There's not too much deviation from that. But look, we're also hearing stories from the extreme ends of the spectrum where tenants are saying we're not paying and landlords saying you're paying 100%. So look, there's going to be some outliers. So look, just do your best, and look, if you need any help, give us a call, and either us or your lawyer, and we can point you in the right direction. But I will put a link down to the Ministry of Justice discussion and topic about the guidance for how to settle these, the landlord-tenant disputes as well. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, or second last thing I wanted to talk about, is just covering off the 8-week subsidy again. So businesses might start qualifying from this week if they applied on the 25th of March, I think it was. If they applied for the original 12-week subsidy on the 25th of March, they are probably able to qualify or apply this week for the wage subsidy extension, which is an extension on the 12 weeks for another further 8 weeks. It's still at the $885 for a full-time employee and $350 for a part-timer, being the difference between the two being 20 hours, I think it was, 20 hours part-timer, more than 20 hours full-timer for the subsidy side of things. But yeah, so you will need to have a look at your income over the last 30 days. And from that, if you are 40% down on income, and this was the big change on Friday, they dropped it from 50 down to 40, that if you are 40% down on income for the same time last year, then you can apply for the 8-week extension to the wage subsidy. So first applications are available from the 11th of June, and it will depend on when you received your wage subsidy. So if you only applied and received your wage subsidy, say 3 weeks ago, you're going to have to wait 9 before you can make an assessment for the wage extension. It will be 30 days from the day that you apply in the future back, looking at that income period. So yeah, that's really the nuts and bolts of it. Look, if you've got any questions, send us an email, and we can get back to you. If you think that you're kind of going to fit in that basket. The other thing is that the wage subsidy extension will be running until mid-September. So it is not something that if you can't apply for it this week, you're going to miss out. You've got until September. So it's quite a long period. So we've got another 3 months or so that we can look at this. 2 months. No, 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. What day is it? Monday? Anyway, moving on. But yeah, originally the extension was really focused at supporting hospitality and tourism, which the government, I think, predicted was still going to be quite down on income, coming out of level 2 and level 1. But it looks like from the why they've adjusted it, that maybe they're thinking that hospitality and retail also and tourism are probably going to have a little bit more of a bounce. Maybe the fact that we are in the middle of winter, that perhaps tourism doesn't do quite so well at this period of time, and so that's why they adjusted the percentage down. So I would say that's probably the main driver for it. But look, if you're interested in the wage subsidy extension, I'll put a link to that below as well in the comments or the description or whatever YouTube does to put text and links down the bottom. So yeah. They also, funnily enough, and I've only just cottoned onto this, is they actually, at the bottom of that webpage, they've talked about, they made some comments about self-employed who have received the full-time wage subsidy, but were actually drawing less than the subsidy prior to receiving the subsidy, having to pay it back. So, look, that was a big pile of words, but basically what I get from the paragraph is to say, look, if you're self-employed and you're only taking $300 a week out of your business prior to COVID, prior to applying for the wage subsidy, and you've applied for the wage subsidy and that has been calculated at $585 per week, then technically you're better off by $285 than you were prior to COVID. And so if that was you, you need to pay that $285 per week back to MSD. So bit of a strange one. I guess I can kind of get the logic, but it seems a little bit odd that they would now be throwing that out there. But it's obviously something that's probably cropped up since the wage subsidy came into effect, and they're trying to, I know, maybe get a little bit of the money back. But look, I guess like anything, how do you work that out? Most people will have a tax-driven salary that's often declared at the end of the year. So it really kind of, I don't know how that whole picture would work. I think they probably haven't factored in that. So yeah, I think it's just maybe just a bit of a clean-up process. So I don't know. So yeah, so that's about us. Just a reminder that our offices are still closed to guests and to clients. So if you have a meeting with me and want a meeting with me, it won't be in person. Probably. It will be via video conference, and you can just book that through our normal website, our meeting appointment scheduler, and it will just be a Teams meeting. We'll send you a link. You don't need to download anything. It'll be very, very simple. But look, we're getting a lot of positive feedback from it because people don't have to travel, don't have to find a park. And we, as part of the Microsoft Teams software, we can actually screen share. So for those that wanting to go through their accounts and their tax returns, we can show them a lot easier on the screens by clicking into Xero, sharing some screens, and then showing and connecting the dots a little bit easier. So look, that's still our preference. And we'll see what happens once we are at level 1 to see whether we reopen the office or not. But look, part of it is not because we don't want to see our clients, because we love our clients, but mainly, look, if we don't have to implement a health and safety policy to contract trace people because we can keep the office closed, then it just makes sense for us. You know, you'd probably be rather that we were actioning transfers at IRD than completing a log, registering all that kind of stuff and trying to keep track of who and what's in the wheres and all that kind of stuff. So that's the reason why we've done it. But yeah, just wanted to let you know that we still love you guys and we still want to see you. But anyway, hey, look, that was me for today. I hope you found that a little bit interesting and answered some of your questions, but likewise, we're all back on deck here. So if you've got any questions and anything, send us an email. There is a bit of a delay in us getting back to you, but we are getting them, we are receiving them, and we are moving on them. So, but yeah, look, if you've got any questions, jono@boostnest.kiwi, or you can give the office a call. Our office, the best office number to call on has changed. It is now 04213 9409. So that's 04213 9409. Or you can give me a call on my cell phone. I'm not going to tell everybody what my cell phone number is, but if you want, you can grab it off the website, or if you've received an email from me, it'll be in my email signature. So look, hope this was helpful, and look forward to seeing you guys soon. All right, take care. Bye.